if you love what you do, right, I don't think you will feel upset if you're not there yet. But I think the key to not feeling that is don't compare yourself. See how you've grown from the back. So if you had one listener yesterday and one more today, that makes it two. You've grown.
Yes.
Yeah, or like forget
It's
what other
100%
people
true.
are doing.
I want to know more about like how it is to actually jump into um, a male-dominant field, I would say, because like singing may obviously like it's a unisex field, but
Yeah.
like if you talk about rap, it's quite male-dominant.
It
So
is.
like, how's your experience? Like, what did you see?
Yeah, so when I actually got into the field, I didn't think of it as a male dominant field. But then when I slowly started getting my hands into it a little deeper, I was like, oh god, too many males, they don't really have the opportunities. Like, there's nothing equal for females. So, yeah, it is a struggle, I would say. But at the same time, there are males who are very supportive and they want, they're happy to see whether there are more females coming up in the genre. So I'm also doing a research on gender dominance in hip hop, so especially in India. So yeah, I mean it's a struggle. It's a struggle not just for me, but for a lot of female rappers who even there are a lot of people I know who rap, especially females, and they want to come up, but it just I think because they see the amount of males in the field and they're like, you know what, maybe we should just take a step back. So for me, it's been a sweet and sour story when it comes to males in the field, but I think it's what you do.
So, but then still, like, I've heard that you're the first female rapper from Goa. I mean,
Yeah.
who is like actually on a really good Indian scale. So, like, what's the backstory? Like, how did you start your
Journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the funny part is, I think everybody should know this, that I don't really listen to a lot of rap music. I never did before. I used to listen to one or two songs on my playlist for rap. Okay, and I didn't even know what rapping was until I accidentally got into rapping because I had to cover for another singer who dropped out for a competition, and then I took his place, and people were like, "Whoa, okay, a female rapping. They've never seen that before." So I was like, okay, this is something I can do. And then I eventually got pushed into going for competitions, and people realized I could do this. And even then I was hesitant, but I went for it. I won a competition, I won another one. And then I was like, I'm going to pen down my own songs, my own raps, because, covers everybody does. But original songs is something that we lack. Creativity is, we still need to come up there. So yeah, that's how I started. And eventually I got to know that there are female rappers, but there's not a lot of them who have songs of their own on various platforms. And I think in Goa, it's said that I am the first female rapper with original songs on multiple platforms, right? So it's a great title to hold. I'm very, as much as I'm proud of it, I also am waiting for like more female rappers to come in. So yeah, that's just how my journey is.
That's great to know, Sharlaine. And you know what? What's even more great, it's like much better. And you said that started with you saying yes to some opportunities or yes to some experiences.
Yeah.
I can see that is reflected even in the way this podcast has been arranged,
Yes.
where you said yes to some circumstances.
Right.
So, and I believe that it's so important for young people to like know about such stories because आजकल opportunities are endless. I mean, like metaverse, like anything. Like I mean, we're gonna record this here, and everyone can hear this in the whole world, right? So, can you tell me a bit more about like your thoughts on being open to new opportunities and like if there are any other circumstances which actually allowed you to explore yourself and your skill sets when you said yes to some. Uh,
Yeah, I think right from the beginning, I've always been a planned person. I was always stuck up. I didn't want to do things that were out of my comfort zone. So I think my whole music journey as an independent artist began when I said yes. When I just was like, okay, let me be spontaneous. That also came with a push. My best friend kept saying, Sharlaine, you need to. So okay, let me start from the beginning. One of a Goan musician came up to me, Georgie Das. Okay, he's a well-known person here. So he came up to me and he was like, we need a female rapper for this event. And I said no, I think at least 10 times to him. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. It's not for me. And he said, no, at that time, there were not a lot of female rappers who were ready to take up the project as well. So I was like, okay, my friend was like, no, Sharlaine, you go for it. At least try it out. If you fail, that's okay, but just like try it out, and see. And then I went there, and that was like huge. Like I said yes. I think that was probably the best decision I've ever made in my life. And from then, I realized how important it is to be spontaneous, like today.
And you were what of what age at that time?
This was back in 2019. I'm very bad with mathematics. Like I'm going to be 24 this year, so you can do the maths.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's really interesting. You know what? And like even in my life, and even in the life of the other guests which I have spoken, right? Those who are young and who are making a change in their own respective fields, I've seen that it's not that okay. You might be involved in music, but you might not have been involved in like the kind of music which you were in, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen a similar story play out in a lot of other people's lives also. I myself have experienced that like just trying in this young age can not just allow you to explore opportunities but also allow you to explore about your own self because I mean as we said कि इतने सारे जो आजकल skill sets on the like serve है कि I mean we can choose from anything
Yeah.
but we have to at least try first before
Exactly.
exploring
Yeah.
if that's for us or not.
Yeah, and I think this stigma of girls shouldn't like get out of their space because even scared. I understand like there are a lot of bad things happening, but I think the more we get out and start showing that we can actually do things, will just bring us up faster. Again, I don't mean to like only pull up the females, but it's a fact. Like you can just probably you can think of like, oh, I'm going to travel from Gujarat to Goa and come here, and that's impulsive in itself, and it's great. So I just wish and I hope there are more. I know there are females like this, but there should be more so that they can also get a place in the creative space. Yeah.
Let's dive a bit deep into this whole conversation of like how this affects women.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this what I mean by this is that like the other day like we had a pilot here on the show and she's a young pilot. She's 21, 22 itself.
Okay.
And she was sharing how in her industry female pilots are how are they treated differently because I mean from her perspective it was the expectations apart from professional sphere that they have to bear on their minds which makes their journey difficult like कि अभी तुम like एयरप्लेन like fly करोगे तुम्हारा घर में settlement नहीं होगा तो कैसे तुम्हें husband मिलेगा ना so that's a hurdle for that industry. According to you, in music industry, how does being a female, let's just talk about specific female rappers. How does it become difficult for female rappers to enter into this industry?
Okay, so there's a lot actually. For me, let's just start with where we come from, right? So where I come from is a very like everyone's independent. Okay, like even my family always supported me, and they never told me, okay, because you're a girl, you can't do this, and you can't do that. So I have been fortunate enough. But I know people who are, the minute they're 18, they have to get married and they have to do, things like that. And music is never seen as a career. It's very slow coming in India, especially. And if a girl says, I want to be a musician, no, big no, right? You're told, okay, you need to get married and things like that. And if a guy says it, again, there is a no, but somewhere he may be able to do it because he's allowed to travel or explore more than a girl is. So that's one barrier. And I think the other thing that I find is when you become a female musician, and especially if you want to get into the big game, you are told to dress a certain way. You have to wear short clothes and things like that to be more appealing. And I don't understand why. Because everybody just feels like wherever, whether it's cinema, whether it's music or any other field, if women are seen in a certain kind of clothes, or if they wear this kind of makeup, and somebody actually came to me and told me, Sharlaine, you need to be more feminine if you want to get up there. And I was like, why? I'm a rapper, so what if I can be what I want to be and set myself aside. So this whole image of how a girl should be, and people have already given up on me, like asking me if I'm getting married because they know that I'm independent. And I think more females should just do this. There are barriers. There are a lot more that I cannot. It's not on top of my mind right now. But
like it's interesting that you say that. Like obviously, there's one thing which I can connect with from previous conversations with women who are dealing with entry barriers into different industries. Is obviously one thing is that family expectation and societal expectation. But one thing which we also mentioned was that even for me, like even for a female, the thing about music being a career, why does that come up as a barrier for people, या फिर a restriction from their families, is that like I believe society thinks of sustenance in terms of how good you're gonna earn and how fast you're gonna earn.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, music career maybe there are people who are earning really a good amount, but to start up with all these different competition and everything, it might take some time to set your base, right?
Yeah.
But I believe like I've seen so many people who, when they pursue their passion, it somehow is even more valuable than money. एंड जीना किसको यार, इंसान को जीना है या उसकी सोसाइटी को उसके पैसे से जीना है. एंड इफ यू डोंट हैव दैट satisfaction in a well paid job, I mean, we talk about the Twitter CEO, I mean, though he has not resigned, but then he was at that verge that he's not getting that kind of satisfaction even after having that kind of money, right?
Exactly.
So I mean, I guess people and society should think about this perspective of what actually matters.
Yeah, and I mean today it's not just, even if you don't see music as your main career, you can always have a side hustle. You can always, I'm working as a content writer somewhere and doing my music. I think that's fine, you know, because someone says, oh, you need a stable job, you need a corporate job, you need to sit in an office for 9 to 5. That's the old perception, and we forget that our generation isn't there anymore, you know. So yeah, that's it's a sad state of affairs really, to be very honest. But I think, you know, as the older generation goes off, the younger generation will come in with this whole creative space, and money doesn't come easy. Money is important, but at the same time, I know a lot of people, especially the youth, who are like, money is not important in terms of when they ask for a job. For them, it's job satisfaction, it's security, it's all these kind of things, which is good. It's changing, so we just have to.
We were taught in our schools and our colleges about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Do you know that?
Yeah, I've heard.
Right, so obviously, I mean, like it's scientifically proven that you rise above the Maslow's hierarchy as and when your needs are arise and not before that, right?
Yeah.
So I believe for this generation, as so much information is available in front of them, कि कैसा होता था कि पहले टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं थी, so they wouldn't know कि उन लोगों की लाइफ कैसे होती है जिनको वो आइडियलाइज करते हैं. Now that people are knowing, this generation is knowing कि ठीक है, like social media के थ्रू ये लाइफ कैसे जी रहा है, वो लाइफ कैसे जी रहा है, though it's just the snapshots of the lives, they can still place their hierarchy of needs in the self-satisfaction range much higher than the people of the previous generations could. I guess even that creates a generation gap.
It does.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean that there's a huge generation gap in terms of everything. Let's just be very clear. From even the way I think our lifestyle, you know, everybody's like, let's just start with money. Okay, that's like a big topic right now. Like, money is not important, even though it seems like it's important. And the youth today, they find a way to live a particular lifestyle even without being rich. You know, first it was like, you need to save up, you need to save up. I know my dad keeps telling me, you saved up so much for you and your education and everything. And I sometimes sit back and think, am I doing this? Am I saving enough for my family and for my children, or am I being too selfish, you know? But then we have that survival instinct. We know how to meet with an emergency, or, you know, also I think the pandemic has taught us that young or old, you're going to die soon.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. That realization hits.
Yeah, so it's like just live, and yeah, you need to save. You need to save on a lot of things, even yourself. You know, you don't need to give yourself out to everybody, your emotions, you know. So you need to know where to draw the line, but at the same time, you cannot just keep sitting and saving everything.
Right, and I guess like it's like some really amazing and one of the most famous books, like The Psychology of Money, also talks about this, and like a lot of amazing speakers also say that it's really important for us to know when it's enough.
Yeah.
And what your soul and what your mind needs rather than just the societal expectations.
Yes.
And right, it's so important to set a clear distinction between what we want and what the society is like putting in our heads we want. Like we should be really clear of exactly what we want. We in caps.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting to like have this on explicitly here on the conversation. And but you said that you were also like into content writing. So like, can you tell me a bit about how you're balancing your music career with other things which are going on in your life?
Okay, so I don't know if I have a mantra, because I don't. Okay, everybody asks me how do you do it. The thing is, I'm a workaholic. So I think workaholics just find a way to do everything. So I need there's no words such as boredom in my dictionary. Okay, I have to be doing something at every time, and that's probably how I even made time for this, even though I have a flight tomorrow early in the morning and I haven't packed. So I'll manage it. So I think being a workaholic is an advantage because you make sure you're productive all the time, but at the same time you have to be careful of your health and things like that. I'm so sorry. What was the question again?
No, so like we were talking about like what about all the things. How are you balancing your music career with the other things? So like हम उस चीज के बारे में बात कर रहे थे ना कि we're talking about like how we're planning to sustain in terms of money. For example, if the music career takes a while to shoot off, so in that while you're doing something else. So like, what's your thing in this sense?
I recently wrote a blog on the need of a side hustle, 5 reasons why you need to have a side hustle, and I think that's the way of life right now. Everybody needs a side hustle. You can have 2 or 3 of them. So I think that is how I am balancing. So music is where I kind of let out my emotions, and it's the positive side of things. Not that content writing or my job is a bad thing, but that's where the income comes in. Again, music also has its perks of having it. So I have like these 1 or 2 gigs that will get me good money, and that's when I take a break from freelancing. And once that goes down, I move into freelancing, and vice versa. And if both of them are not happening at the same time, that's when I tell myself, Sharlaine, you need to relax. Because that is also a hustle. That is also something, if you don't relax, you won't be able to do music or anything else in your life.
That's so important, because this thing about toxic hustle culture, right? We're talking about productivity and being productive all the time, but I don't think so that productivity is always doing something.
Yeah.
It's about always being aware of what you're doing, how you're doing, and why you're doing.
Yeah.
To be honest, that's spirituality for me. And I guess if we're spiritual about like the way we're doing the things, taking up the things in front of us, I guess you're gonna be productive anyhow.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting into things which you're not passionate about.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying that, initially even when I started off, I was like, I need to work all the time or I won't be making money. And then I felt really sick and I couldn't work for 6 months. I couldn't do anything, I was just on the bed. And that's when I realized, you need to have a balance. And balance is like key to everything in life.
Right. True. And like, a lot of people think that such kind of podcasts and such kind of engagements is just one thing after the other, another. Like, एक चीज के बाद सिर्फ करते ही रहेगा, हम काम ही करते रहेंगे. But it's not that. I mean, you bring up a really important point, Sharlaine. And one more thing which I wanted to ask was from the things which you're doing right now, right? So like you said that this music एक चीज है which you're getting into. Obviously, you've already got some really amazing gigs and you've played and you've sung on some really amazing stages. At the same time, you realize the reality behind balancing your money and like your balancing your sustenance, I would say, along with your passion of music, right? And what do you think about कैसा होता है कि हम कोई ना कोई चीज़ ट्राई कर रहे होते हैं, but we're not getting that kind of a drive.
Yeah.
So for example, someone is really passionate about music, but not about anything else, and because of that, they're not able to perform in any other thing. So what do you think should be the mentality of such a person who is trying to discover their like what actually they can work in besides music? So like for you, content writing was another creative field. So what do you think? Like, how should other people go?
So there's a saying that goes, don't be a jack of all trades and a master of none, because you'll get your feet into like 100 things, but you won't be able to master one. But I think in our generation, we need to be a jack of all trades and master of none, because what happens, I mean, you can master an art if you want to, but what happens when you get into like different fields, right? They complement each other. So people ask me, why you're doing mass communication when you've got music? And people ask me, why you're doing music when you're already in the media field? So I'm like, do you understand that it may feel like they're 2 different things, but they come together at some point. Like the PR I'm studying in college helps me with my music. The videography I'm studying there helps me with music. Right. So even if I'm doing a BBA course, somewhere down the line, the way I think in college, business point of view will help me with music. Right. So you do need a theoretical kind of place or a course along with something that you're passionate about, along with something that will get you money, and it depends on how much you can handle. Now, each person, something they want to explore, and I think if you're in your 20s, best time to explore, best time to fail, best time to chill, best time to do everything. you won't get these years again. So even if you feel like you're sitting on your bed doing nothing, but you're actually thinking about what you want to do, it's a good thing.
Definitely.
For me, success is just getting out of bed in the morning and being able to make your bed and attend to life that day. You're successful there. If you're happy, you're successful. It's not if you're rich or you're famous. If you're happy, you're successful. So explore, go ahead, do what you want. You like to travel, and now everything is like making a reel and people can earn money digitally. So I think it's pretty cool.
Then what do you think about this? कि कोई someone music को ले, they think कोई music को pursue करना चाहता है, but then they're not able to like get those kind of numbers and or that kind of attraction towards their talent. So they're trying the best to build up their skills, but उस तरीके से numeric terms में उनको कोई growth नहीं दिखती है. So what do you think कि like did you get that growth since the moment you started, or how was that journey, and how should a person really approach this part?
Yeah, so the funny story is that I'm still not there with numbers, and when people look at my Spotify, it's still not a big number, okay? It's a very small number compared to a lot of people I know who are on the field. So people ask me, but then they can see this other side and they're like, okay, you're really popular, so why is it not sinking? And I tell them, see, not everybody will understand the art you make. Okay, we are still not ready for creativity. We are still not ready for art films too. Like, people are criticizing films even if they're so beautiful. They don't. The audience doesn't understand creativity and art.
It's a field बहुत subjective है.
Yeah. So I think, but you know what I tell people? Even if there's just 2 people listening to my tracks, that is when I know I have done something in my life. Now, if you're talking in terms of money will come. Okay, there will be opportunities. You have to just keep hoping and because I don't get gigs all year round. I have 1 gig, but that 1 gig is enough. I will make up for all the other things that I probably lost because of my health or whatever. So if you love what you do, right, I don't think you will feel upset if you're not there yet. But I think the key to not feeling that is don't compare yourself. See how you've grown from the back. So if you had 1 listener yesterday and 1 more today, that makes it 2. You've grown.
Yes.
Yeah, like forget what other people are doing. Yeah.
But you know what? Like I was reading this book the other day, Ikigai, and there was this interesting concept of flow, where so like this concept of flow can be obviously perceived in different ways. But the way which I want to introduce here is, when you're doing something and you're not thinking of the tangibles to it, and you're just you're in love with the process of it. Like just if you're into music, you're just in love with the process of creating music. Then anyhow growth will like proceed your actions. And at the same time, when you're not expecting it, जैसे गीता में भी लिखा है कर्म करो फल की चिंता मत करो, right?
Exactly.
कितनी सारी जगह पे ये लिखा हुआ है. And I guess this is such a universal philosophy which is there in every field. कि तुम कुछ भी कर रहे हो, if you're just in love with what you're doing, if you're giving a deeper purpose to it, कि मेरे को numbers से मतलब नहीं है, but I'm impacting lives, as you said. It gives so much more motivation to you, or if motivation is a short-term word, I would say, but inspiration for you to want to keep at it, right?
That's my life, to be very honest, because right from the beginning, when I was a child, I loved music because I come from a musical family. But there was a point where I was told, you're not doing anything in music because I don't play the violin like my dad, or I'm not great at the piano like my mom. So everyone was like, you're not doing enough in music. And I was like, what is enough, So I gave up music for like a good 3 or 4 years, and I was like, I'm never getting into music. Even though I love it, I'm never getting back to it. I don't want it ever in my life. But then a few years later, this kind of turned around, because see, when you love something, like you said, things will just come up, and I went on to stages and I started doing things. I didn't even choose rapping. Rapping just came to me. And then opportunities through that came to me, and now I'm earning through music. Who knew, who thought this would ever happen? Someone who gave up completely on the field is now in that field and doing so well.
But if you would have just given up and stayed there, you had to try. Yeah. You had to begin again, and you had to just keep at it to actually realize this kind of pursuits which are you're doing right now. But while you speak of that, can you even tell me a bit more about the Ibis? About this?
So the thing is, I was like just around Instagram. I knew I had songs out. I hardly have videos, but I have everything up on Spotify and stuff. So I got a message once, and I got an email actually that said, we want you for this so and so thing, and I saw Ibis Hotels, and I was like, okay. I didn't respond to it because I thought it was spam, to be very honest. And then I got a message on Instagram. It was from like the main guy, and he was like, just can you please check your email? It's kind of important. And I sat with my manager, who I appointed at that time. He's my best friend. Okay, so we just sat together. We're like, should we do this or what? And we saw everything. We say, okay, let's just try it. Let's just go for it, because at that time we had like the COVID situation was really bad. So we had to shoot somewhere that was like isolated up on a hill or something, and they wanted like the scenery of Goa. Okay, let's just go for it. We tried it out, and I was shocked at what happened right after that, because I realized that so Pablo Vittar is like a huge artist in Spain, okay, and Brazil. Yeah, so she is huge, and she picked me. I was like, why me? I sat back and I asked her, why me? What is so good? Because there are like 100 artists out there, millions actually. But she picked me, and I was one of them picked like from India, right? And yeah, I went on to, we did the gig, we did everything, and they were like, we want you next year again for the same thing, yeah. And
for those who might not know about the music festivals, can you tell them about like
oh yeah, so Ibis basically what they do is they have this Ibis music entity where they make, they have like artists from all around the world coming and putting on gigs, and a lot of concepts they come up with. And this was one of their world tour things that they kind of curated, where they wanted to have music from all around the world through a virtual platform. Okay, because everybody was sitting back home and they had nothing to do really, and through music we wanted to connect everybody with the world, and each artist brought out their culture.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was picked from India, so they told me, I was told that I was known for like my hip hop, my 90s hip hop styles, and I was like, okay, interesting, something even I didn't know about myself. And since I had original music which kind of caught their attention, I went into it, and yeah, we did a whole. The next one we shot at the Ibis Hotel itself in Bangalore, and yeah, I mean it was an experience I cannot forget. It's like one of the biggest highlights of my career, to be with such a big brand. Yeah, it's huge. So
that's so amazing to listen to, Sharlaine. And
okay.
One thing which I picked was that you said that I never knew this about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to bring up this thought कि हम अपने बारे में बहुत कुछ like ऊपर नीचे सोचते हैं. Well, I don't know how to put it.
I got it. Yeah.
But कैसा होता है कि we're thinking from in our heads.
Mm-hmm.
We're not thinking from the perspective of the other person.
Exactly.
So it's so important for you to put yourself out there, show to the world what you are, what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
And I mean, you don't need to do that for validation, but you that might help you explore more of yourself, like you did, right?
Yeah.
And that was so powerful, Sharlaine, because when we're thinking about like this podcast calls for action, we're here not just talking कि ठीक है, like हमने ये किया and इन्होंने बहुत अच्छे किया. Obviously, you did a lot of good things, but more than that, you took action on your dreams.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to promote, because it's so important for people, especially young people, to just go out there and take action.
Yeah,
right?
That's true, because I know a lot of my friends are still confused about what they want to do, and I'm like, yeah, 20 is the time to experiment, but while you're experimenting, that means you need to also do something. Like you can't just sit together for months and do nothing.
Yeah, I can feel you.
So it's okay if you fail, but like just try, just try. So even music, like I said, I tried to rap, I tried to do something, right? It took me somewhere else, that's great. So I'm still trying my things, trying my hand at things that probably are not for me, but I'm still trying. So.
Yeah, and you know what? Like when people talk about this, they think कि यार ये तो हवा में बोल रहे, but I can tell from my experiences कि this is like even for me, this like pursuing my passions is really important. But I guess what I've learned is not to take life too seriously. कि अभी हमने नहीं किया तो अभी कुछ नहीं होगा. क्योंकि कैसा the parents and all the other people are like saying us stuff from their perspective कि तुम्हें ये करना चाहिए, तुम्हें वो करना चाहिए, ठीक है. But then if you don't do it right now, ऐसा नहीं है कि बाद में हम experiment नहीं कर सकते. But at the same time, if you're doing it right now with some other things, you have much less to lose. And obviously, I mean, like with saying this from a position of privilege, maybe there might be people who might have different circumstances. But at the same time, this young age is so precious कि अगर आपके पास अगर ये opportunities है कि like आप explore कर सकते हो, तो I guess everyone listening to this, they should take explore मतलब they should take action on what they feel passionate about.
Exactly. I think a lot of people, hold back because they're like, either they don't have the courage, they're like a little like, I had stage fright, or they feel like, I don't have the money, or something that they feel like they lack and they don't want to get up there, But I tell them, what if that thing that you don't have, and even though you do something with that thing you don't have, kind of makes a difference. Like a lot of people, a lot of musicians, they go to studios and they record. I do everything at home. I'm just like, the jugaad thing that they call, yeah. So I'm like, you don't need money to record your music, Maybe a small investment, yes. I'm pretty sure all of us have savings, so you can do that. Start small, but do it.
But then even more importantly, yes, do it. Just start.
Just do it, yeah.
Right. Amazing, dude. I mean, this call of action is exactly what the youth needs. I mean, because India के पास like world में सबसे ज़्यादा powerful youth है in terms of number as well as skill set.
Absolutely. Right? I think that's why a lot of even companies from abroad come in, because they know the labor is that good.
Yeah, and not just like labor in all sense.
All
skill,
sense.
unskill, everything.
Yeah.
Even the creative fields. I mean, कैसा कि we're talking about yes कि the music scenario is just growing, but still जितना इंडिया में potential लगता है, हम जितने भी लोग, बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग हैं जैसे Gary Vee talks about this on a huge extent, that India has such a huge potential, and everyone in the world is now seeing this, especially even with the kind of political relationships which we're having, and the kind of outgoing youth which we're having.
Yeah.
It's really powerful, the kind of young energy which we have.
Definitely, yeah, of course.
Okay. So, that's great, Sharlaine. That's great. And like for those who are really hesitating to start, what would you suggest them? For those who are having a lot of self-doubt कि मैं ये गाऊंगा, इस तरीके से करूँगा, या लोग ऐसे देखेंगे, या फिर मेरे कैसे बोलेंगे. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like I said even earlier, there might be 100 people that hate you. There might be 100 people who say no to things that you do, or they tell you that this is not good. But there will still be that one person who will say, what, this is nice, go for it. So I would say validation is not about the number of people that tell you you're doing well. It's just the quality. It's that one person that kind of tells you that this is nice. So like I said, I make music for even that one listener who's okay, who loves my music. It doesn't have to be the 100 people that don't like it and I'll stop making music. If you love it, if one person loves it, go ahead. Even if it's nobody loving it and you still love it, go ahead. Okay, and just like fix. There are good things that you'll have to learn and you'll have to work on. That will come along the way. And one more thing I have to mention is that a lot of youth complain there are no opportunities in their state. There's no, like, I know Goans who say there is no opportunity here, I'm going abroad. I'm like, no, do it. Because, I feel like because there was no opportunity for me probably as a rapper, I became a rapper.
Yeah.
There were no females. Yeah, you create an opportunity if you don't see it.
And आजकल तो it's easier than ever to create a opportunity.
Oh yes, exactly.
And like you heard कि Goa में like people are a bit more chill about stuff. Can you tell me a bit more about people coming from small towns and like if they think कि opportunities नहीं है? So like you said कि okay, opportunities create करनी चाहिए, but what would you suggest to a young person from such a culture जहाँ पे mindset ही नहीं है इतना ज़्यादा hustle का या फिर what do you think?
Okay, so I mean I have come from a place where I've seen hustle, but like not in terms of my friend circle has always been those who wanted to hustle, and so I've come up with them. But for those who don't actually get the support or they don't even know what hustle is, I think it's just doing what you love in a way that you don't give up. I think not giving up right now is what hustle is all about, because I mean to everybody hustle is a different meaning, So it's also the balance between enjoying your life but working hard for it.
सही बात है. So like भाई जो देख लो ये लोग, if you think that you really like doing what you do, I mean fuck everyone else. I mean just go at it and just never give up. And that's an amazing take from you, Sharlaine. Thank you so much, Sharlaine. I mean this is amazing and it's been an amazing journey since now.
That's so much fun.
Yes, same here. Yeah. High five.
Thank you.
Thank you.